Have you ever looked at your life and realized you're living the same day over and over again? It's 11:30 p.m. You're lying in bed, the blue light from your smartphone reflecting in your tired eyes. You've been scrolling through TikTok or Instagram for 2 hours. You've watched strangers vacation in Bali, influencers talk about their 4 a.m. morning routines, and hustle culture gurus tell you that if you aren't a millionaire by 25, you've failed. You feel that heavy, sinking pit in your stomach. It's a mix of guilt and anxiety. You know you have that big project due. You know you promised yourself you'd start going to the gym this Monday, but as you set your alarm for 6 a.m., deep down a voice whispers, "You're just going to hit snooze anyway. Why even bother?" If you've ever felt like you're a passenger in your own life, watching your potential slip away while you stay paralyzed by distractions, then this video is for you. Today on Talking Books, we are doing a massive deep dive into a book that acts as a surgical strike against procrastination, How to Be Disciplined by Sheldon Howe. We aren't just going to summarize it, we're going to dissect it. We're going to follow the transformation of a guy named Mark. Mark was exactly where you might be right now, living in a small apartment in Chicago, working a mid-level corporate job, and feeling like a background character in his own story. But before we unlock the 5 pillars that changed Mark's life forever, do me a favor. If you're serious about making 2026 the year you finally take control, hit that subscribe button. Join the Talking Books community. We don't just read books, we build better lives through them. Now, let's go back to that freezing January night in Chicago. Mark was sitting on his couch, surrounded by empty takeout boxes. He was doom-scrolling when he saw a review for Sheldon Howe's book. He thought, discipline? That sounds like a drill sergeant screaming at me. No thanks. But something about the word freedom in the subtitle caught his eye. He ordered it. 3 days later, he was staring at Chapter 1, Set Clear Goals. Howe writes something that most people overlook. Discipline without direction is just masochism. If you don't have a clear goal, discipline feels like a punishment. But when you have a goal, discipline becomes a tool. Think about it. Why do we admire athletes? Because they are disciplined? No, because they are disciplined toward a gold medal. Mark realized he didn't have a gold medal. He had vague ideas. He wanted to be rich, be fit, and be happy. The book introduced him to the GPS method. Imagine getting into your car and telling the GPS, "I want to go somewhere fun." It can't help you. You need a zip code. You need a street name. Mark sat down with a notebook. He spent 3 hours, not 15 minutes, but 3 hours refining his vision. He realized he didn't want to just be fit. He wanted to be able to run the Chicago Lakefront Trail, all 18 miles of it, by the end of the year. He didn't want to be successful. He wanted to earn a $15,000 raise by becoming the most indispensable data analyst in his firm. The action step. Howe suggests the rule of 3. Don't set 50 goals. Pick 3. 1 for your body, 1 for your career, and 1 for your mind. Mark wrote them on a sticky note and put it on his bathroom mirror. He had found his North Star. You see, the moment you define exactly what you want, your brain's reticular activating system, the part that filters information, starts looking for ways to make it happen. Suddenly, the gym wasn't a place of pain. It was the workshop where he was building the 18-mile runner version of himself. By week 2, Mark was energized. But energy is a feeling, and feelings change. One morning he woke up and it was raining. The apartment was cold. That North Star felt very far away. He hit snooze. Then he hit it again. He woke up at 8:15 a.m., rushed to work, forgot his lunch, and felt like a failure by noon. He went back to the book that night. Chapter 2, Develop a Routine. Howe explains that willpower is a finite resource. Think of it like a phone battery. Every time you make a decision, should I wake up, should I go to the gym now or later, you drain that battery. By 5 p.m., your willpower battery is at 5%, and that's why you end up eating a pizza on the couch instead of going to the gym. The secret to high-level discipline isn't having more willpower, it's needing less of it. You do this through routine. Routine is the architecture of your day. It takes the decision-making out of the equation. Mark realized his mornings were a willpower drain. He spent 20 minutes just deciding what to do, so he decided to automate. He started habit stacking. The trigger, the alarm goes off. The action, he immediately puts on his workout clothes, which he laid out the night before. The reward, a high-quality cup of coffee only after the workout is done. He stopped asking himself, do I feel like working out? Feelings don't matter in a routine. The routine says it's 6:15 a.m., so we are moving. It took Mark 21 days of pure struggle before it clicked. But on day 22, he woke up, and before he even realized it, he was tying his running shoes. He had moved the behavior from his conscious mind to his basal ganglia, the part of the brain responsible for habits. Now, let's talk about the biggest villain in Mark's story. It wasn't his boss. It wasn't his lack of money. It was a 6-inch piece of glass and silicon in his pocket, his smartphone. Chapter 3 of Howe's book is titled, Embrace Self-Control, but Howe defines it differently than most. He says, self-control is the ability to resist the now for the most. We live in a dopamine-saturated world. Every like, every red notification, every next episode button on Netflix is designed to give you a hit of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. The problem? Dopamine is about seeking, not satisfaction. It keeps you wanting more but never feeling full. Mark realized he was a dopamine addict. He would sit down to work on his marketing certification, and within 90 seconds he'd be checking his email. Then he'd check Instagram. Then he'd check the news. An hour would pass and he'd have accomplished nothing. He had to declare war on his distractions. He followed Howe's environment design strategy, the phone jail. He bought a literal timed lockbox. When he got home from work, his phone went in the box for 2 hours, no exceptions. The 20-second rule. He made the things he wanted to avoid 20 seconds harder to do. He deleted social media from his phone, so he had to log in through a browser. He unplugged the TV after every use. The 10-minute rule. When he felt a massive urge to eat junk food or stop working, he'd tell himself, I can do that, but I have to wait 10 minutes. Usually, by the time 10 minutes passed, the urge had subsided. This was the hardest part of the journey. Mark felt restless. He felt bored. But Howe explains that boredom is the gateway to creativity. When Mark stopped numbing his brain with easy dopamine, he started thinking again. He started solving problems at work that he used to ignore. He was gaining the rarest commodity in the 21st century, deep focus. 3 months in, Mark was a different person. He was fit, he was productive, and he was disciplined. But a new problem emerged: burnout. He was so focused on his routine and his goals that he became a robot. He was constantly living in the future. When he was at the gym, he was thinking about work. When he was at work, he was thinking about his run. He was disciplined, but he wasn't happy. Chapter 4. Practice mindfulness. Howe explains that discipline without mindfulness is just a high-speed chase to nowhere. You have to be able to enjoy the process, not just the result. He taught Mark that the mind is like a wild monkey. If you try to tie the monkey down with chains, strict rules, it will just scream and fight. But if you give the monkey a vast open space to play in, it becomes calm. Mark started practicing 10 minutes of non-judgmental awareness. He'd sit on his balcony, look at the Chicago skyline, and just breathe. This changed everything. It gave him emotional regulation. One day at the office, a client was being incredibly rude. Old Mark would have snapped back or felt ruined for the day. New Mark practiced the gap, the space between a stimulus and your response. Instead of reacting, Mark observed his anger. Okay, I'm feeling my chest tighten. That's interesting. By observing the emotion, he took its power away. He responded with professional calm. His boss was impressed. His coworkers started coming to him for advice. He realized that the ultimate discipline isn't just controlling your actions, it's controlling your inner state. And then the perfect life hit a wall. It was a Tuesday in October. Mark had a massive presentation for the executive team. This was his moment to get that $15,000 raise. He had his goals, his routine, and his focus. But midway through the presentation, his laptop crashed. He panicked. He lost his place. The executives looked bored. The CEO checked his watch. Mark went home and felt like a complete failure. All those months of discipline, for what? He ate a tub of ice cream. He stayed up until 4 a.m. He felt like the old Mark was back, and he was terrified. The next morning, he opened Chapter 5, Learn from Failures. Howe writes, "The difference between a master and a beginner is that the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried." Mark realized he was looking at failure as a wall, but failure is actually a mirror. He sat down and did a fear-setting exercise. He asked himself, what actually happened? Did I lose my job? No. Did I die? No. I just had a bad meeting. He analyzed the failure. He realized he had relied too much on his slides and didn't know his data well enough to speak without them. He used that failure as a training manual. He didn't let the setback become a slide. He got back on the lakefront trail that evening. He ran harder than he ever had. He learned that resilience is the highest form of discipline. It's easy to be disciplined when everything is going well. The true test of your character is what you do when your world falls apart. Do you crumble or do you rebuild? Mark chose to rebuild. 2 weeks later, he asked for a follow-up meeting. He walked in without a laptop. He spoke from the heart. He knew his numbers inside and out. He got the raise, not because he was perfect, but because he was unbreakable. As the year came to a close, Mark stood on the lakefront trail. It was a crisp December morning. He looked at his watch. 18 miles, done. He thought back to the guy he was in January, the guy who was afraid of his own alarm clock, the guy who felt like his life was happening to him. The secret wasn't a magic pill. It wasn't a life hack. It was consistency. Sheldon Howe's final message in the book is this: success is not a destination. It is a direction. Mark realized that he would never arrive at being disciplined. It's a choice you make every single morning. It's a choice you make when you're tired, when you're sad, and when you're bored. He didn't need to be 100% perfect. He just needed to be 1% better. The compound effect of discipline. If you get 1% better every day for a year, you end up 37 times better by the end of it. That is the math of discipline. Mark wasn't just a guy with a better job and a better body. He was a guy who finally trusted himself. And that, my friends, is the greatest gift discipline can give you. The quiet confidence that you can do whatever you say you're going to do. So here we are. You followed Mark's journey from a Chicago apartment to the heights of self-mastery. But now, the story shifts to you. Sheldon Howe's book, How to Be Disciplined, isn't just a collection of pages. It's a challenge. It's a question asking, who could you become if you finally got out of your own way? You don't need to run 18 miles tomorrow. You don't need to quit your job or change your entire life in 24 hours. You just need to choose your North Star. You need to build a routine that serves you. You need to win the dopamine war. You need to breathe through the stress. And most importantly, you need to get back up when you fall. I want to hear from you. We're building a community here at Talking Books of people who are actually doing the work. In the comments below, I want you to commit to one small change you're going to make this week. Is it waking up 15 minutes earlier? Is it putting your phone in a drawer while you work? Whatever it is, write it down. Declare it to the world. If this deep dive gave you value, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel reach more people who need this message. And if you haven't yet, join the family and subscribe. We have so many more incredible books to explore together. Remember, discipline isn't the weight that holds you down. It's the wing that lets you fly. I'm so proud of you for making it to the end of this video. Most people won't. That already shows you have the focus it takes to succeed. Now, go out there, be consistent, and keep turning those pages into progress. I'll see you in the next chapter.